Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
77 scores again.
This is the John Sterling Show. Now, here's John Sterling.
And we go to the 77 WABC ActionCarting.com phone line. New York City's premier waste and recycling provider. You will love this guest. You've heard him before. I actually knew him when he was probably about 18. He's not 18 anymore. And I forget how old I am, my goodness. Anyway, he is a member of a great broadcasting family. His grandfather, Harry Caray. His father, Skip Caray. And here is the voice of the St. Louis Cardinals television, Chip Caray. Hello, Chipper. How are you?
Hello, Mr. Sterling. Great to hear your voice. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You know, I was driving into the city for the show, and I didn't realize what happened in the Cubs-Milwaukee game. Well, what happened?
Well, I think the Cubs found out what the rest of Major League Baseball is finding out, is that the Brewers are a pretty good team. The Brewers just somehow, some way find a way with a very athletic and exciting young club that can go toe-to-toe with anybody. And for the smallest market in baseball, they put together one of the biggest ball clubs in baseball. And, Pat Murphy's got a great collegiate atmosphere around that team. They play with reckless abandon and a whole lot of fun, and obviously a whole lot of success with 90-plus wins this year. They're a tough bunch. They're a tough bunch in that ballpark with the roof open. So the Brewers trailed 1-0 after the first half inning and then exploded in the second and chased Matthew Boyd, and they are in great position to win Game 1.
They are indeed. I wanted to ask you about Milwaukee before I saw the big lead. What makes them tick? They had the best record in the major leagues, and believe me, when you look at the Phillies and the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Mets and the Dodgers, boy, did they have a small payroll. So how do they do it?
Well, they do it with excellent drafting, developing, scouting. They make smart trades. Look, this is a club that if you think about what they've done, Brandon Woodruff, terrific pitcher, was sidelined, hurt, bad shoulder, came back this year and has pitched great for them. They traded away Corbin Burns and got Jackson Chourio back from the Orioles. That's a pretty good deal. They traded for William Contreras, got him from Atlanta. He's an all-star, one of the best offensive catchers in Major League Baseball. And more than that, they've just drafted well. They draft guys that are athletes. They're baseball players. They don't necessarily have one skill set. They play baseball. They put the ball in play. They don't strike out a lot. They take the extra base. They hit enough home runs, quite obviously. They're tough to strike out. And defensively, they're also very athletic, that they cover just about every angle you can shoot for as a hitter in opposition of them. So they're really a fundamentally sound team. They're a team that's lost Josh Hader and Devin Williams. Their bullpen hasn't missed a beat. And so that's a real credit to their front office and the way that they run things. And as I said, Pat Murphy's done an excellent job. And frankly, as I said, the Brewers are probably a blueprint for a lot of mid to small market teams to follow. As you said, John, they don't have a big payroll, but they do a great job of maximizing their resources and winning on the margins so they can go toe-to-toe in the National League with the bigger boys, the Dodgers, the Phillies, and the like.
Well, you know one thing, and you certainly know it because with the Cardinals, you go there all the time. You're in the same division. Milwaukee is a great hitter's ballpark, and the ball flies out, but they're not that kind of a team. So it's even more impressive that they win with not the right team to play in that ballpark. You figure the right team would be the Mets or the Yankees and, a bunch of guys who can hit it out. So they overcome that too.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Milwaukee, as you said, it's a small town. What's great about going there is, in so many ways, you feel like you're walking back into what America in 1955 was like, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
that's kind of the style of baseball they play. They play baseball. It's not home run derby. It's not a 3-outcome team. And as much as a pain in the butt as it is to play them and try to beat them, they really play the game the way it probably was played 50, 60 years ago. And it really is fun. It's really effective. And that's not to say that they aren't as analytically inclined as everybody else. They are, but their players are just, I think, 1 through 26 on their roster so well-rounded that Pat Murphy, or before him, Craig Counsell, had the luxury of plugging a guy in and getting pretty much the same production no matter who that player was. Again, this is a club that lost Willie Adames. They lost Hader. They've lost Devin Williams. They lost Corbin Burns. They haven't missed a beat. That's a really, really good organization.
And, last year, Pat Murphy won the Manager of the Year award, and I've already proclaimed him my Manager of the Year. And by the way, in the American League, that's what I think of Alex Cora, who had to work magic and miracles and changing. I'm a Casey Stengel guy. Change his lineup, platoon. And I think he did a fabulous job too. Now, upcoming, Chip, will be, I think, a heavyweight edition of the playoffs in Philadelphia and the Dodgers. They open in Philly tonight. What are your thoughts?
Well, I love the Phillies team. I would like them a lot better if they had Zach Wheeler. That's a big, big loss for them, obviously. Wheeler's out with a thoracic outlet surgery. He'll be back at some point next year. But they've got 3 really, really talented left-handed starters, Christopher Sanchez, an under-the-radar Cy Young candidate. They've got a very good bullpen. They've got Bryce Harper. They have that home crowd. As you know, Citizens Bank is it's a crazy place when it's packed and it's playoff baseball. I think the wild card in that series is what's Ohtani going to do on the mound? How effective will he be pitching? As we know, the Dodgers this year have had all kinds of trouble keeping a rotation in line, but to their credit, using 15, 16, 17 starters, whatever it was, they got there. They won the West, and they advanced by sweeping Cincinnati. But the Dodgers are just as star-studded. They've got a very dynamic offense. Freddie Freeman hit his first big league home run in Citizens Bank Park. That was against Roy Halladay as a rookie in Atlanta. So that's always a special place for him. Mookie Betts, I think, is, as we all know, just a terrific player no matter where and how you play them. And the Dodgers have done it before. I think the Phillies have something to prove. They are in the middle of their championship window, but it gets narrower and narrower with each passing year. And Bryce Harper, as great as he is, isn't getting any younger. For me, the fun World Series would be the Phillies and the Mariners. Don't know if it's going to work out that way, but ultimately I think home field advantage is going to matter the most in this series. The Phillies have it, and we'll see if they can take advantage of it.
Yeah, I always feel, looking at it from a Yankee angle, that Philadelphia would be very tough for the Yanks, and you named it at the beginning. They have 3 really good left-handers. They are missing Wheeler.
Yeah.
But most teams are missing somebody at this time of the year. And
it's not like they lost Zach 2 weeks ago. They've pitched without him for a couple of months, so it's not like it's a new deal. And in the first, even in this round, you can get away with 3 starters. So that part won't be crushing. It's when you get to the LCS or World Series that they're really, really going to miss him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Philadelphia has some decisions to make. I don't think they're really very tough decisions, but one thing, Chip, they have to sign Schwarb, and who hit 54 home runs this year. My goodness. And he did it in his option year, in his free agent year. And Mr. Schwarber is going to be a very well-to-do young man.
Yeah, he's not hurting as it is, but you're right. This was the year of the home run. All these guys blasting 50 homers. Ohtani did it. Schwarber did it. Judge did it, of course, with the Yankees. I think I may have left somebody off the list. I don't have my stat sheet in front of me.
Raleigh.
Raleigh, that's it. Cal Raleigh, yes, in Seattle had 60. Schwarber's a great player. He's going to be very highly sought after. It's funny how the game has changed. We were talking about this with our manager, Oliver Marmol, and what the Cardinals are going to try to do. The DH spot in the National League, certainly, it has been that way in the American League forever. But in our league, as we're learning how to use that position, it's not just a place where old guys go to die. It's also not a place where you give guys days off and just put a bat in there for a day. the really good teams are the teams whose DH is a guy that hits 30, 40, or 50 home runs. And that's a huge, huge leg up for the Phillies if they can have Schwarber in that spot. He's instant offense leading off. And for the opposing pitcher, he knows he's on red alert the moment he toes the slab and gets ready to go to work. So certainly the Cardinals are looking for that kind of impact player. Ooh. Don't know if they're going to afford a guy like Kyle Schwarber. I doubt it. But there will be a lot of teams after his services, no question about it. He's had a fabulous year, and he's a great dude. And as I said, he'll be a huge impact guy if they get to a Phillies-Yankees World Series with that short porch in right.
Yeah, he doesn't need the short porch.
No, everything's short for him.
I've seen him hit home runs deep in the upper deck in Philly and in right center. But yeah, I don't think the Yankees are going to try to sign him. But he would be lethal with the right field in
no question
in Yankee Stadium. What were your thoughts? I imagine your thoughts were great about Cam Schlittler's game the other day against Boston.
Isn't that great? Guys that people outside of New York know almost, if not nothing about, get to pitch on baseball's brightest stage like that, and they come through. And that's what's so fun about the playoffs. It's always the unlikely hero. And that's what is so romantic about our game. You think of the Braves, where most of my baseball career was spent, and that's a guy by the name of Mark Lemke. He and Jeff Blauser teamed up the middle, and Lemke played second base and goes on to have an unbelievable league championship series and World Series and becomes a legend for the Braves because of his hitting and defensive heroics. It's not always the stars that shine in October, and that's why I think so many people love the game, is you don't know who's going to seize that opportunity and make a name for himself and set his future and his team's future as well. And so Cam was awesome against the Red Sox. That's a great sign for the Yankees, who obviously are without Garrett Cole. Now Cam knows he can do it again. He knows what that moment is like. He knows what the pressure is all about. I don't think he'll be intimidated in his next opportunity, and that's ultimately great for New York.
Well, someone wrote in a newspaper, one of those coming from their smartphone, he said that what Schlittler did was emulate Clemens, Gooden, Seaver, and you know what? Right. When you have 12 strikeouts, no walks, no runs, and you're playing in the seventh game, it is a seventh game,
right? And
it's in Yankee Stadium, and it's against the Red Sox. He'll never have a tougher outing going in. I mean,
no. And now, throw Bob Gibson in there for good measure too.
Yes, no, I think it was in there too.
Yeah. No pressure for that young man, but he'll never have to buy a beer in New York for the rest of his life.
No.
And for guys like that, that's, as I said, what's so beautiful about our game. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, our mutual coworker Glenn Diamond always used to say about a broadcast, you're there to expect the unexpected. And I don't think anybody in baseball expected Cam to do what he did, do it as effectively and as impressively as he did. And now the challenge for him is, well, people are going to expect that kind of performance every time, and we know that's so unlikely. But like Caray Wood, when he struck out 20 Astros in his rookie season in 1998, that game was his coming out party. He announced his presence with authority, and now the rest of baseball's taking notice, and it'll be fun to watch him do his thing the rest of his career.
Well, I think both of us could name names of people who came out of nowhere and became big World Series heroes. Denny Doyle of the Yankees once hit about 400. Dusty Rhodes of the Giants, and Gene Tennis. Then no one knew who he was. He hit 2 home runs in a World Series game. So I bet you could.
That's the beauty of it. That's the absolute beauty of it. I mean, there's a guy named Frank Home Run Baker who played 100 years ago, and he was called Home Run Baker not because he hit a lot of them. I think he hit 10 for the year. But as you said, he had a couple in the World Series, and it was not the number, but when. And now is the when, and that's what's so, as I said, romantic about baseball.
Well, you obviously like the Seattle Mariners, who have a very good pitching staff. And they certainly improved their offense by getting both a first baseman and the third baseman on the trade deadline. So, I haven't seen them since they added those 2 players. But Brian Wu is not going to pitch, so they lose a pretty good pitcher.
Yeah, that's going to hurt them. Their pitching staff was awesome. They've done a really, really good job. Kevin Seitzer's the hitting coach out there, and top to bottom, that's another team that's like Milwaukee, very athletic, but a lot more power, I think, up and down their lineup. And don't underestimate the power of T-Mobile Park where they play the Braves. The Cardinals were there 2 weeks before the end of the regular season, and that place was up for grabs. The Cardinals weren't playing for anything. We were there to hopefully win a series and got swept. But every time Cal Raleigh came up, it was as if Ken Griffey Jr., Jay Buhner, and Ichiro were coming up in the bottom of the ninth inning with the bases loaded. It was truly an electric atmosphere. And for them, in Seattle, they've had they're an amazing franchise, if I may digress. When Lou Piniella came there in the early 90s, he had Griffey and Buhner and Randy Johnson, Tino Martinez, Omar Vizquel.
And you're forgetting another Martinez, Edgar.
Oh, Edgar. He was pretty good.
Fairly good.
And that group was good, but they didn't know how to win yet. And Lou Piniella, in my opinion, saved baseball in Seattle. You're very familiar with Lou's pedigree and what he did out there. But I think he really helped save the Mariners franchise from leaving. They ended up winning 116 games and not winning the World Series. Then they traded guys away, and then it was the Ichiro wave, and his group came in. And then after Ichiro, this next crop of guys that's there. So they've done a really good job of reconstituting their franchise and putting a really, really good product on the field. And so I root for them. I root for Kevin Seitzer, who I knew for so many years with the Braves. And that group's a dangerous bunch, and playing in that ballpark in the Pacific Northwest where they get to play without the bright lights of baseball on them, I think is a big advantage for them. And it would not surprise me at all to see them really, really get on a roll. Losing Brian Wu hurts. They got an excellent bullpen, and the rest of their staff is really, really talented, too. So the Mariners have all the pieces in place. But as we know, just because you have the pieces in place doesn't mean you win anything. That's up to them to go do it, and we'll see if they can.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. You mentioned something, and it triggered something in my mind I wanted to get to at the beginning. The Mets fired everyone on their bench, all the coaches. Now they're keeping Mendy, but one thing that really bothered me, Chip, they fired a friend of mine. That's why it bothers me. Eric Chavez. He's a really good guy. He's super intelligent. He was a great player. He's everything you'd want to talk to your hitters. And the Mets had a lot of problems. They didn't have any problems on offense. The biggest year, Nimmo had his biggest year. Soto had his biggest year. Alonso had his biggest year. And Lindor had his normal great year. Now, I know you're not the one to answer this, but why did they fire Eric Chavez?
It's a good question. Don't know the inner workings of the Mets. I do know that from an offensive standpoint, they were really streaky. The Cardinals saw them early in the season, and when I saw them, when they were really pitching well, they had everything go. Sengo's, Ghost Fork was doing its thing. I mean, they looked, to me, I said, this is the Mets team that the Mets fans have dreamed about forever. They were not the Mets team that the Braves always seem to catch and knock off in the last weekend of the season. I thought to myself, this is a team that has all the pieces in place to win the World Series. It just didn't happen for them. As you know, it's easier to fire coaches than it is players, but they're kind of at a crossroads now. They spent $300 million and it hasn't gotten them anything. And now they've got to figure out if they're going to be able to keep Pete Alonso, who's going to exercise his option, and he should.
Yes.
Lindor's got the big contract. You've got Soto, who had a big offensive year, but everybody in baseball wonders how's that contract going to look 3-4 years from now. Is Soto going to be a glorified DH, or is he going to be able to continue to play in the outfield? Don't know if that's going to stay possible for him, or if he opts out too. But look, the advantage they have, as you know, they have a motivated owner, they have a motivated fan base, they have basically an open checkbook. And so they're going to do whatever they can to get back on top in the National League East. It wouldn't surprise me if they're very active in free agency, that they go back out and get the players they can. It's New York. you know very well the tabloid war that exists. They want to knock the Yankees off the back pages of all the tabloids if they can. And the only way to do that is to win. And they didn't do it. So they were on the backs of the tabloids for all the wrong reasons. And
right.
They certainly want to change that.
Well, you know, Chip, I'm sure you do know because you know what you're talking about. But the Mets, who were in first place at a certain time in June, and do you know from, let's say, the middle of June to the end of the year, they played 17, 18 games under 500?
Yeah.
With all those players that I named?
Yeah, it's amazing, right? And that's what I said before. It's not how you play, but when you play or when you play them. When I saw the Mets in April or late April, I think it was, I said, this team's going to win the World Series. It's the best team I'd seen come out of New York in a long time. They did everything right. And then, from the time mid-June hits, all of a sudden the light switch went on and they became a different team. Lindor had a horrible stretch. Their pitching collapsed. Senga was sent to the minor leagues. Guys were getting hurt. They were a real mess, and they never could get themselves out of that death spiral. They got to watch the playoffs, and that's disappointing for the fans in New York. Ooh. Because, as you said, this is the time for stars too, and a lot of stars that baseball was hoping to be in the big dance aren't going to be there.
Well, it was. I don't know the real reason, but their pitching wasn't good, and they also don't have a very good defensive team. Correct.
Correct. And then a base runner in the playoffs is a rally. Doesn't matter how many outs there are. You've seen it a million times. And I think the last time we talked about this. I think so many people in our sport are so much smarter than I am. And I'm the first to admit that. However, I think that we overcomplicate the fundamental facet of our game. Number one, baseball is the only game where the defense has the ball. And number two, if you don't pitch it and you don't catch it, you're not going to win. And you contrast the Mets and all their star power and the big names and the big market with a team like Milwaukee that did not do those things that the Mets were guilty of for much of the season. And I think you can understand why one team advanced and one team didn't.
I think you make a great point, which is why I love having you on the show, and I demand that you come back. So
I would love to.
Okay. Thank you, Chip Caray. Have a very good winter, and we will talk to you soon, probably before
I look forward to it.
Probably before the playoffs are over. So
you got it. We'd love to join you again, John. All the best. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Chip. Before we do anything else, let's break the station apart. Good idea? Jonas Jackson thinks it's a good idea. And so does Vincent Laspinosa. He thinks it's a good idea, too, as well as our executive producer today, Elias Raff. Anyway, we'll get back. We're going to do football in just a moment, but we're going to break the station apart, and that station is 77 WABC.
Thanks for listening to The John Sterling Show. You can hear The John Sterling Show Saturdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?